everybody, welcome to another video. Thank you for clicking on it. If you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. I've got like 9 new subscribers, so I'm kind of like, wow, because I started with like 2. So thank you for those of you who are subscribing. So I recently had an incident with Beacon again, and I decided to make a video because I'm very upset about this whole thing and no one seems to take it seriously, and so I'm just like, I gotta get it out there in the world. So, you know, I have a guide dog, Beacon, and she's great, and she's my first guide dog, and I live in a very small town, and so, you know, we still have rules, but it's the middle of nowhere, so nobody really cares. So, back in September, I would say my first severe dog attack with Beacon. There was blood and everything. It wasn't handled appropriately. I'm not going to go into details about that because I don't want to call anyone out, but it was not handled appropriately at all, and I was told that basically I couldn't see anything, so nothing happened, and I was a liar. I do not like that. I am not a liar. I don't lie about my dog in particular. She is my eyes, and I need her to work for me. And there was blood, and it was just a whole thing, and I was very upset. I was like crying, and I don't cry that much, and I was like, oh, I hate this. So it wasn't taken seriously. Nothing really happened. I tried to do something about it with my limited range of power because I'm just me in a small town with others who are in authority over me, and so I wasn't taken seriously. It was just kind of swept under the rug. So then a couple weeks ago, I was walking. It was Valentine's Day, actually. I remember that because it was Tuesday. And I was walking, and you know, we'd gotten through the first attack. I wouldn't say first because I had another one before this and a couple little ones, but this was like the first major one was September. So after the first major attack, we were okay, but I was still worried because you know, one attack is all it takes to ruin a dog, and I know my dog, and she was just not herself, and so we worked through it. We got her back. We weren't 100%, but we were okay. She wasn't great around dogs. Like, it's not like it was like, I'm gonna kill you. It was more like a, oh shoot, I'm kind of worried, what should I do type thing. And so she'd gotten pretty comfortable around other dogs. It wasn't the end of the world. We were okay, but it was so scary. So then I let it go because, you know, no one's gonna listen to me. I'm just this random 23-year-old girl, and you know, who cares? So whatever. Well, so then Valentine's Day came, and literally all this is happening like within like 5 blocks of my home, so that's fun. And I can't really go any other routes because it's my neighborhood. Like, I shouldn't have to go a different way, and I can't because, again, it's my neighborhood. So there's no other way. Like, every other route that I would have taken would have crossed me with dogs that are completely, they're on chains, but the chains are over the sidewalk. The dogs get loose from their chains all the time. No one really cares, because also I've called the certain people about these loose dogs that run all the time, and they just say, well, you can't see it. So, which is true, it's fair. I can't see it. I can't tell them, oh, the dog ran away, it's over there. I can't do that. But at least give me the respect enough to go and search, you know? It's just like a respect thing. I understand I can't see, I can't tell you the dog was white and it was blue and it was green. I don't know if they make green dogs. I don't think they make green dogs. But, you know, I can't tell them that because I can't see. I'm totally blind. So, you know, just respect me enough to say, okay, I understand. We will go search. That's it. That's all I want. Well, so we're walking, and we're like slowly chill and just kind of walking along, and all of a sudden this dog comes out from a yard, and I thought it was the dog that someone had owned because you're walking past like a house, and it wasn't. It was just a random dog that showed up. And I thought it was, again, contained, because dogs normally are contained behind a fence or chain or something. And the one in September, the chain broke and it was a whole thing. But this time it was not on a chain, it was just running loose. And so all of a sudden I hear this dog come running up, and I was like, oh crap. And so I start freaking out because, you know, I've had some trauma in my life, but also just panic mode. You know, there's a dog coming after my dog. Like, what do I do? And so, you know, I couldn't do much. I had to let go of Beacon because that's what we're supposed to do, let go of them. But I do want to point out, Beacon's in a harness, Beacon's in a gentle leader, which is like a muzzle, but not. It's for the common person. It looks like a muzzle because it goes around their snout. It goes from under the chin all the way around their nose and back down. And so basically, it just controls their head. So kind of like a halter on a horse, same thing. But people know it as a muzzle, so I'm just like, whatever, it's not a muzzle, but okay. Anyway, she has that, so she can't open her mouth all the way, because that's the nature of the gentle leader. And so she can't defend herself, you know? So the dog comes running at her, and I don't know if they actually made contact or not, because I wasn't holding on to the leash at this point. I let go completely. And it took me a minute to actually realize what was happening, like I couldn't really move. That's the whole thing, you know, fight, flight, freeze, and faint. So I froze. That's like my natural response to fears, freeze. I hate it, but I can't fix it. So I was standing there and I was like trying to figure out what to do. And Beacon got up and was just kind of like, you know, not like I'm gonna kill you, but more like a firm, like, look here, I'm gonna get you, you know. So the dog, I think it freaked out because it didn't expect her to you know, try to do something about it, try to defend herself. And, you know, there's a whole thing about service dogs not defending themselves, and, you know, they can't be aggressive, which is true. You can't bring an aggressive dog into public. But with this circumstance, she was being attacked. So it's free reign at this point. I don't think she would do anything purposefully harmful, but the dog was in her face. So you would do the same thing. If some random guy comes up to you and tries to stab you, you're going to fight him. You know, it's in your face. It's not a violent reaction to a, you know, relaxing situation. Like, this is a very tense, very terrifying situation. So the part that made me angry the most is the fact that other people were watching this and they didn't do anything. They just stood there. And I got really angry, like, so angry, because I can't see them. I can't see what's happening. I'm terrified because this is my $40,000 dog just being attacked by this random dog that just ran out of nowhere. My dog's trying to do her job, which, by the way, that's a, I believe it's a misdemeanor right now in Indiana, but it changes depending on where you are and all that. But I'm working my dog in public on the sidewalk, which is public property, and this random dog just shows up and just starts trying to distract my dog, and, you know, so people were watching, and this one person comes up and goes, yeah, that's so-and-so's dog. It runs loose all the time. It gets in my yard, and it's fine, the dog ran away. And I'm like, you literally just stood there and watched it happen and didn't do anything. Like, get a stick or do something. Don't just stand there. So I was super annoyed because I'm like, come on, people. Like, I get you're afraid, but this dog is attacking. Oh, and then I forgot the best part. It's a friendly dog. It won't do anything. And I'm like, look, that dog is growling. That dog is barking. It's not friendly. It might be friendly to humans, but if it's another dog, it's not a friendly dog. I mean, any dog, no matter what, it's an animal. That's the nature of animals. They can become violent. You know, cats, they'll scratch you and they'll claw at you. Dogs will growl and they'll bite you. I mean, that's, you know, we can train it out of them as best we can, but they're instinct, you know? So I was really annoyed because they were watching and didn't do anything. There was multiple people. It wasn't just one person. So, I didn't do anything. I didn't call anybody because, you know, I wasn't taken seriously last time, and basically I was told that if I called, I would be harassing the people and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't do anything. I just walked away because I had to calm down first. So we calmed down. I had my cane. I was walking because I always carry my cane just in case, you know, those situations like this where your dog can't guide. She was trying to guide, but she just couldn't. So I used my cane. Nothing against the cane. The cane works for some people, but I choose to guide dog. That's my lifestyle, and that should be respected, and that's my choice. And I don't like that that choice has to be taken away because someone can't control their animal. So we're in town, you know, it's a public place, so it's not that hard. Leash laws make you, it's legal. Control your dog, keep it on a leash, keep it in a closed area, don't let it run free. Like, that's literally the law, and no one cares. So I get to a safe place where I can kind of calm down. At this point, I'm like not crying, but I'm really close to. And the police came. There was a whole situation with that. They believed me, which is good because they didn't last time. And they didn't really do anything, which in their defense they couldn't because I didn't know where the dog was, whose dog it was, whatever. And I guess when they went to check, no one ever answered the door, no one explained anything, which really irked me so much because these people were just covering up for their friend or neighbor or whoever and saying, oh, there's no dog, nothing ever happened, it's fine. Like, excuse you, like, no. Like, if I were to go and do something to you, you would be like, oh, it was that blind girl, you know, that one that looks like this. Like, you would not hesitate if it was you. So, like, respect me enough as a person, not even a blind person, but just a person, to stand up and say, yes, I saw the dog, yes, this happened. Like, no, I'm not a liar. I'm not someone who's going to just sit back and relax and let you not take me seriously. Like, no, I'm a person. So I wrote this petition about, you know, our town, because our town's very small. Again, no one really cares about the law. I mean, they do, like, in a sense, but not all the way. It's not taken seriously. So, you know, we have service dogs here that people just get the vest online, and they're like, oh, it's my service dog. And I'm like, cool, what's it do? It's my companion. I'm like, cool, that's not a service dog. Why are you in Walmart with your service dog that's not real? Oh, I'm just so depressed, I need this dog. Cool, what's it do? Oh, well, he's just there for me. Awesome. Leave him at home. Like, it irks me so much because your untrained dog can really affect mine. So, you know, I wrote this petition about people who have pet dogs, you know, how to handle them around service dogs, take them away. Don't let your dog go up to a service dog while it's working. Like, that's not appropriate. No, service dogs don't have to be marked or identified as service dogs. It's common sense, though. If you're walking with a dog and somebody else is walking with a dog, you don't know what that dog's going to do. Go away. Don't walk up towards them. Like, that's not okay. It's respect, you know? And also, you know, I said that bringing a non-trained service dog into a public place is, one, illegal. You can train them in Indiana. That's where I am right now. You can train them to, you know, service dogs in training, but you have to take responsibility. You have to be in control of your animal. And most people in my town are not. They just say, oh, it's my service dog. See, I've got the vest. See, it's really nice. And the dog's over here going, oh, cheese. Like, no. Control your dog means control. Even if it's not on a leash, which it should be unless your disability or the task of the service dog interferes with the ability to wear a leash, you still have to have control. That means voice, that means hand signals, that means some other means of effective control. That's what the ADA says. That's federal law. That trumps everything in America. And, you know, you see people at Walmart, or I just use Walmart because it's a nationally known store, so Walmart. They'll be like, okay, Fluffy, come back, Fluffy. Fluffy, why are you... Fluffy's all the way 10 aisles down the way going, oh, hey, person, how are you? You know, like, that's not control. So I said that. I said business owners. I talked to them about how they can kick anyone out that they choose with a service dog if the service dog is being disruptive, which means, you know, it pooped in the store, or it's aggressively barking at someone. And this is different from barking to alert. That's actually a thing. That's a trained task the dog can alert to. Most of the time the dogs are not trained to bark on alert, but sometimes they are, depending on the person and dog. Because you can own or train in America, so, you know, you do you. But to have a service dog, you have to have a disability, and the dog has to be trained to help you with your disability. So if you're depressed, cool, go you. But your dog has to do something to help you, and it doesn't mean just being there as a companion. Like, if you have panic attacks or PTSD, the dog can block in front of you, it can help you with crowd control, it can circle around you, you know, it can sense whenever you're going to have a panic attack, kind of do some grounding things, some deep pressure therapy, you know, all these different tasks that it can do. So, you know, if you want a service dog, you have to figure out, well, one, are you disabled? Two, what disability do you have? What kind of strategies would help you? And three, do you want a service dog? Because a service dog's a lot of work, and, you know, I almost lost mine because some idiots can't control their dogs, and I'm not ashamed of saying that because it's the truth, it's real, and I told you all I'd be real on social media this year. more real than, you know, I'm going to show you everything. So, of course, I get this petition, and it's like barely got any signatures, which is fine, whatever, I guess. But I'm making this video because I want people to be aware. Like, if you're a business owner and a dog comes in and it's eating your merchandise off the shelves, or if you come into a restaurant and the dog's sitting in a chair, no, goodbye. This dog is not a service dog. A dog needs to be on the floor of the restaurant or in a sling, depending on what it does, because, you know, sometimes they have slings across the chest that you can wear for your dog, and it will identify, you know, your breath, if you need to smell it for sugar, blood sugar detection, like all those things. You know, there's different types of service dogs, different types of tasks they do, and I can't tell you all of them because there's a never-ending list. But, you know, I think the issue is that people are so afraid of getting sued now, they don't want to say anything. And I'm like, look, you can ask. Is that a service dog because of a disability? Yes. Cool. What task does a service dog do? And if they can tell you a task, cool. Fine. As long as the dog is under control and not being, you know, nutso in the shop. If they can't tell you, then bye. Unless they have, you know, sometimes people can't speak, or they have some other kind of thing where they can't tell you specifically. You know, like they'll say medical alert. You can't be like, oh, what kind of medical alert? Like, doesn't matter, it's medical alert. But, you know, sometimes a lot of people, they'll have these cards made, so they'll say, hi, I'm Amber, and this is my dog, insert dog's name. I have blah, 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 and this dog does blah, blah, blah for me. Like, they write it down so that way they can hand it out to people and they can know, okay, this is real. But most of the time you don't need that, because the dog's well behaved and trained, you know, it's not going to be crazy. Now I will mention I've had vegan poop in the store a couple times. That was humiliating. She had diarrhea one time, and the second time it was just like a huge load of poop, and I was like, oh, this is awkward. And so I cleaned it up, and I walked out of the store and I said, hey, my dog had an accident on your floor. I cleaned it up because that's respectful. And if I couldn't have cleaned it up, I would have stood there and I would have waited till someone came by and said, hey, can you help me find assistance to help me clean this up? Because as a handler, it's my responsibility to take care of my dog, and that means picking up poop in the Walmart or whatever. And I got out of there and I said, hey, look, I'm sorry this happened. My dog had diarrhea. This is not her normal behavior. I'm leaving because my dog's sick. It's not responsible. It's not appropriate for me to bring a dog that is pooping into the store when it's sick. You know, like, it's not fair to the dog. It's not fair to you as the shop owner. It's not fair to me as the handler. Like, that's not ethical. And also, as I mentioned, the dog comes first, always. So, you know, with us struggling to work, you know, I didn't want to work her because I'm like, she comes first and she's terrified. So I talked to some people from my guide dog school, and they're awesome. I love those people. And I talked to their puppy raiser, told them what was going on, because my school, they encourage, they kind of make it to whatever you want. You can talk to your puppy raiser if you want to. These are the people who raise the dogs from about 8 weeks to a year or so, depending on the dog. I got to know mine. They're pretty cool. They're awesome people. I've only met them like 3 times in person, but they're great. They're awesome people. And I talked about this whole thing with them, and you know, we just chatted, and I talked to the guide dog people about it, and you know, I was using high value treats, which are like high calorie treats, because service dogs are on a diet. You know, they can't just eat whatever you choose. And so I got some cheese. That's her favorite treat in the world, besides peanut butter, and I couldn't put peanut butter in a treat pouch because peanut butter is, you can't just pull it out in cubes. So I cut up some cheese. We use that. You know, and in service dog programs that are in the country, they train you, like, that's literally the point. They train you how to handle your dog. I mean, they train the dog as well, but they train you, so, you know, you can teach your dog other tasks if you need to, or you can deal with the problems. You know, they teach you how to deal with the problems. So, like, for me, you know, we had to work on, sorry about that, I thought I heard a noise outside. We had to work on basic training, we had to go back to the beginning of, okay, get your confidence back. I had to reward every little thing, like, yay, we crossed the street. All right, we found the pole. Yay! And I had to make a big deal, and I had to go like all in, excited because she, you know, she was struggling. And it's been challenging. I've cried a lot, because this is my dog, and you know, um, I don't want to say she's my best friend because that would be kind of devaluing the friendships I have with humans, but we've become very close, human animal bond, all that stuff, and we get each other. We're very comfortable around each other. That's like our thing. We're always around. Sorry, I thought I heard a child screaming outside. um, and we're used to each other. That's how we roll. And so to have that taken away because someone couldn't handle their dog, like, that's not okay with me. Um, so I wish I could have got some footage, but people were like, you should carry a camera. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Let me just go buy a $600 camera. Can't do that. That's not a thing. Some handlers do use that, but I feel like I shouldn't need to. And also, with my own past, I would get paranoid about it. I would be like, oh crap, this is gonna happen again. Like, there might be another dog. Crap, can we walk this way? Like, another dog was in here last time, it's gonna come again. Like, it wouldn't be good mentally for me. So I don't have a camera. I have my phone, and that's how it's gonna be. So, it was challenging, and we worked through it. We get there. We're not 100% there yet. We're still struggling. But it's frightening because my dog that I had trusted to guide me, I literally had to trust with my life. And if she can't focus on a task, she has to be eventually retired. I mean, that's how it works. You can't work a dog that can't do its job. And I've taught her some other tasks, some other service dog tasks that are not guide dog related specifically. Sorry, I hear people screaming outside. But I'm not going to work her when she can't work. That's unethical. That's not fair to me. That's a safety issue as well for a guide dog. And I've taught her some other skills as well. And I was terrified I would lose all of that because we've been together for almost 4 years. And this dog is my eyes in a sense. And it's different from a cane. A cane doesn't pull you forward like a dog. A guide dog has that forward momentum, so you're being pulled forward regardless of how you look at it. There's still that slight pull on your arm, and that's how they guide. They have to guide you by that momentum, and you can't get that with a cane. A cane just kind of needs you to pull it, needs you to sweep it back and forth and to see what's around you. And certain situations call for certain things. Like, sometimes I use my cane, sometimes I use beacon, depending on the situation. But that's my judgment to make, and it's not something that someone else gets to decide for me. I evaluate the situation and determine if it's a safe place for my dog to work. If it isn't, cane it is. If not, I get to bring my cane, or I get to bring my dog, I'm sorry. If my cane, I can use my cane anywhere basically, but, depends on the situation. So Beacon and I are back to our normal selves. Not all the way, but we're getting there. I just have to rebuild her confidence, and that's kind of terrifying because I can't prepare. I don't know when the dog's going to come. I don't know where the dog's going to come from. And I wanted to come and bring this all to YouTube/Facebook because no one understands unless they've been there. And most of you who are watching this are not blind, or even service dog handlers, so you wouldn't get it necessarily. And I can't really explain it to you on a level that you would understand, except for the fact that if you have children, it's kind of that same relationship. You would do anything for your child. In this sense, our bond is more tight because she has to physically assist me when navigating the environment. Like, I have to trust her to stop at curbs. We're not going to go in front of that random car that I didn't hear because it's a silent car. I hate silent cars, by the way. It's a whole thing. Those are like Priuses, Teslas, like all those cars that they'll shut off when you stop at a stop sign. And then you're like, where'd the car go? There was a car there, where'd it go? And you're like looking around and there's well, you know, in my case, listening, and there's no car. And so then whenever the car comes, you're like, oh, car, we almost died. And the dog is looking and listening and using all of its senses to figure out if it's safe to go across. And like, I can tell her forward, but she makes the choice. Like, I go on my own judgment, but I never force the dog forward because that's the point of intelligent disobedience. She's looking and she's realizing, okay, it's not safe, we're not moving. And I have to trust that she knows what she's doing. And the issue was, she was stopping at random spots in the sidewalk, looking back behind her. She would curl in front of me at curbs to kind of look behind and see if there was someone following us or something following us. Because all the dogs that have attacked her have come from behind. So that's fun. And so we worked on that, worked on confidence. But, you know, it's scary because it takes one dog, one other time, and something happens and my dog loses it. So, please, if you're a pet owner and you're walking and you see I mentioned guide dog handler more specifically because guide dogs, mostly, you know, they're for blind people. So most of the time, not all the time because some people can see more than others, but for me in particular or other guide dog handlers, we're blind, so we can't see you with your dog. Keep your dog away. Just, you know, you can even warn us. You can say, hey, I'm got a dog on your right side, or I've got a dog on your left side, or I'm across the street from you, I'm coming towards you with my dog. Try to avoid that, but it would be nice to know because not all of us can see, and it's a respect thing, you know? Just like if there was another dog owner that was walking their pet, you would avoid them because you don't know what their dog is going to do. It could be friendly, it could be not, you don't know. And you never want to assume that all dogs are friendly because they might not be. They might be having a bad day and they just get angry, you know? So I made this petition, nothing really came of it yet. I've had it out for a couple weeks, not much has happened, but this has definitely taken an impact on my mental state as well as Beacon's. You know, I am struggling mentally with calming down, breathing. Like, I literally have to stop on a couple blocks and just like breathe because I'm like, okay, I'm getting too tense, I'm getting too worried about this dog that may or may not show up. I need to calm down. So, you know, I guess the point of this whole video is to say, business owners, the law is on your side. If the dog is being inappropriate in your store, you have the right to tell them to leave. Now, mind you, that means you have to still serve the handler without the dog present. That's the law. Just read the law, guys. Like, it's right there. Just read the law. You can take it seriously. I mean, you can't get sued by someone because you asked them to leave and their dog, asked them to remove the dog from the premises because their dog was eating your merchandise. Like, it's fine. They're not going to get sued. No lawyer would take that anyway, and if they did, it's on them because the ADA is the law. So, you know, I mean, okay, like, here's an example. So Beacon, she likes cheese, and so we'll go to the cheese aisle and she'll be like sniffing and I correct her for it. In that situation, I'm controlling her. I'm stopping her from licking the cheese or sniffing the cheese. And you know, dogs aren't perfect, they're not robots, they're gonna make mistakes. Even if they're trained, you know, very well, they're still gonna make mistakes because they're dogs, just like humans. But if there's a person that comes into your store or restaurant or office or whatever, and they repeatedly eat the same thing, or they repeatedly do this and that, and the handler's just sitting there like, oh look, they're eating cheese, isn't that cute? No, you're eating my merchandise, that's my cheese from the restaurant. Like, you can't eat cheese from the table or from the store, like, no. I just wish that people would take it more seriously because these dogs are highly trained, and people come in behind us and they get these $20 Amazon vests, which again, nothing wrong with $20 Amazon vests if your dog is actually a service dog, you know. But they get these $20 Amazon vests, or Walmart, because Walmart has a $15 one that says service dog, do not pet, or something. I don't know. They come in and they get these registrations online, which by the way are illegal. They're not actually legitimate. There's no registration in America. It's not real. There are voluntary registrations, And when you fly on an airplane, that's different because it's not under the ADA. That's under the Air Carrier Access Act, and of course, housing is under the FHA, Fair Housing Act. So different laws, but ADA is in public places. EEOC is also in employment, but is also ADA, so it gets confusing. But airplanes and housing are all under different laws than ADA, as far as landlords and pets and emotional support and all that. But emotional support animals are not recognized as service dogs under the ADA, so they can't be in stores. Like emotional support dogs, you have to get a note saying, I need this dog for emotional support, blah, 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 I have this disability, I need this dog. Basically, it's for housing, because if you live in a non-pet friendly house and you have a disability that is actually a disability that actually limits your life activities, and this dog assists you with whatever, this can be mental as well as physical, you can have your dog. But there also are such animals as psychiatric service dogs, which in that case would be like PTSD and other things. Just because you have PTSD or have a disability that is not visible doesn't mean you can get a service dog. Like, the dog has to do something for you. So anxiety, it can be for an ESA as well as a service dog, depending on how far the anxiety affects you. If you're gonna have a panic attack at Walmart because there's so many people around you, train your dog to alert you to that. It's all in the task training. That's the important part. So this is a very short video, but I wanted to explain all of that and my frustrations as a guide dog handler in my community. I'm very upset by all of this. This is the fourth time this has happened. I had another one happen last week, but it was small. The owner had the dog on leash, but still. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. Be respectful of me as a handler, as a person first, and then as a handler. Don't go up to my dog and say, oh, hi, buddy, you're so cute, because she's going to look at you and she's going to say, thank you, I appreciate that, and her tail's going to wag and she's going to be all distracted. Like, no. I don't come up to your child and say, oh, you're just the cutest little boy in the world. How are you? You're like, no, that's not, that would be weird. You would call the cops. Like, that's not okay. So don't do it to us because we have a disability or because we have a service dog. Like, who cares? The dog's cute. That's awesome. Go them. That's not their job. Their job is to help with whatever task, And they're not being abused. I've heard that so many times over these past couple weeks because my dog loses weight whenever she gets stressed out. And so they're like, you're abusing your dog. And I'm like, no, I'm not. We're trained how to humanely train dogs. And if we weren't trained appropriately, we would not have a service dog, trust me. With my school in particular, they give us ownership after 1 year, but they're in property of the harness. Excuse me. They own the harness and the leash. And so, yes, you can get guide dog harnesses online. I don't really agree with that, but I do to an extent, because sometimes you want different things for different reasons. But they can take her away. That's part of the contract I signed with them. I signed that I can't take her to a dog park. I can't leave her in an unenclosed area because that's not allowed. I mean, what if something happened? I can't, leave her on a longer extension of leash. Like, let's say I get one of those 37-foot leashes. I can't do that. That's not appropriate. One, for me as a blind person, 37 feet is a long way away. I can't actively control my dog from that distance because I'm blind, so I need to touch, or I need to have sound or some kind of way to know my dog is okay. I can't do that from 37 feet away. That's just the nature of my dog and I. We have people that think that it's okay to leave your dog off leash, and I'm like, no. It's literally a law in the city where I live. Dog must not be off leash. Like, no, the end. That's it. There's no arguing. There's no, oh, it just wants to sniff. No. Doesn't matter. Keep it on a leash. You're in the city. Now, if you're in the country, that's different. But I don't walk in the country that much because there are loose dogs, and that's part of the risk. That's like farm dogs. It's like farm countries. Dogs are going to be everywhere. And that's part of the risk of going into the country. But there again, the city, you should have a reasonable expectation to be able to walk freely without having to be like, oh shoot, that dog's going to kill us, you know? But I don't have that. And I live in a really small town. Like, seriously, there's not that much here to do. There's not much events. I don't even take her out to public events that are outside because I'm afraid that she will get attacked by some untrained pet that happens to be named Fluffy. I don't know any dog named Fluffy, I'm just making that up, but literally it's like all the dogs are 2-syllable names that rhyme with Fluffy, and they're just like, oh Fluffy, come on Fluffy, come back, you know better than that, don't do that. And I'm like, Fluffy's way over here, man. Like, if you want Fluffy, you're gonna have to come get him and pull him away because you didn't train Fluffy to listen to you. You think it's cute because Fluffy can, you know, run out the door and he can bite and, you know, like, no. Train Fluffy to sit and to be a well-mannered dog. Like, okay, Beacon, she's crazy. Like, she gets so excited, she'll be jumping around and playing, you know, in my house. But when I take her out into public, I expect her to have a certain, have certain behaviors, and if she can't do that, then we don't go out there. In harness, she's expected to behave herself appropriately, and that means, you know, not go, oh, look, a squirrel, oh, better chase it. No, it's not appropriate. Because I'm holding on to that harness, and I follow her to an extent, but also I'm the leader, as well as she is. It kind of depends on the team, you know, like, you know, I have to determine when to turn, where to turn, when it's safe to cross the street, all that kind of thing. She gets me there safely, so she walks straight lines, or she'll follow a curb, or she will follow a person, depending on the situation. And, you know, I have to trust her to lead me, to guide me safely, but she has to trust me to guide it, or to give us safe situations to work in. Like, I wouldn't be like, okay, Beacon, we're gonna go into this area where there's like 70 tons of broken glass on the ground. Like, just don't make me step in any, you know, that would be unreasonable, that'd be unfair. So all I ask, and the whole point of this video, is to respect me as a handler, and also respect your dogs. I mean, if they're your pet, that's stressful. If you bring your dog to Walmart, it has no idea what Walmart is. It's a lot, it's too overwhelming. You know, you start gradually, you start building up socialization. You know, you don't just randomly take a dog to the mall and be like, oh look, it's a service dog. Like, you start up with basic, here's how we behave when we're outside the house. Here's what we do when we go to a pet store or whatever, and you work on those skills until your dog is trustworthy in those environments. You don't just bring them there and say, okay, have at it. Like, no, that's too overstimulating. It's like if you brought your 3-year-old child into Walmart and said, okay, bye, you just left them on their own, they'd be like, oh, candy, look, there's some Skittles and Smarties and M&Ms. Oh, and there's chocolate. Like, that's what they would do, and they're kids. That's the same thing for a dog. It would say, oh, look, dog food, I can eat that. You don't, it's too much sensory stimulation for a pet that doesn't know what to do. And they're upset, they're barking, they're growling, they're tense. You know, they're tugging at the leash, they want to get out of there. And they're just like, come on, Fluffy. And Fluffy's like, nope, I don't want to go in there, don't make me. And you like grab the leash and you pull them in. Like, that's not fair to the pet. So please, if you're watching this video and you have a pet or any dog or animal, just stick with the number one rule: be respectful to everyone. You know, I can't see you, so therefore, you know, don't expect me to know that you're there, because I have no idea sometimes. I'm like, oh, there's a person, hello person. One time Beacon found me a chair and there was a person in it. I went to sit down and I was like, oh shoot, there's a person. It was very awkward. But you know, I apologized and I said, hey, I'm sorry. This is my spot that I normally sit in, and my dog found you because she found the chair. And she wanted a treat because, you know, you reward for certain behaviors, and that was the spot where she knew we would be. And there was a person there, but she's like, we found the spot, yay. It was awkward, it was very awkward. But it was fine. I mean, we just laughed about it, moved on, you know, and dogs are gonna make mistakes, that's gonna happen. But there's a behavior they must have, and if they can't have that, then they don't need to be a service dog, you know. It's the ethical thing to do, it's the law. So you know, I just want to make this video and make people aware of that and my issues with that, my fears. You know, I thought living in town would be better because people are controlling their dogs, and I couldn't have been more from the truth. There's more, I've had more dog attacks in town than I have in the country ever. And, you know, as a blind person, people say, oh, defend yourself. Well, how? I've never used pepper spray. I've never used a gun, except for hunting, obviously. And I don't feel comfortable aiming a weapon of some kind. Not very good at aiming. You know, if you can't see, you can't really aim very well. So, I mean, for me, like, I kind of freeze up when I get frightened, and, I thought I heard someone knocking at my door. I'm sorry. You know, it's scary. So it's awful. And as a blind person, that's something I have to come to terms with. I can't defend myself as well as someone who didn't have a disability or who could see well enough to fight other dogs, because we're not supposed to get in the middle of a dog fight. You know, dogs are going to be aggressive, and they might accidentally bite you, or they might hurt you in some way. You know, and most of the time the dogs are so close together, I can't, if I were to aim, I'd aim at both. You know, I don't want to hurt my dog in the process. So I appreciate those of you who are watching this, who support me in this, who agree with me, who understand. For those of you that don't understand, if you're watching this on my Facebook page, go back to my post and comment, because I want to know why. I want to understand what you don't agree about and why, and I want to explain to you, maybe even show you physically, what can happen to a dog that is attacked. You know, I want to show you all this because I want you to understand, and I know the general public doesn't always understand. I get that. They're not around blind people or service dog handlers. But most of us are trying to be out there doing our jobs, trying to be chill, trying to go to work or go to school or the store, Walmart, whatever. It's not something that we, you know, want to deal with. We don't want to go to Walmart and have to deal with, what's your dog for? What's it do? Are you blind? How much can you see? How many fingers am I holding up? Oh, by the way, how do you know what color stuff is? How do you match your clothes? How do you go to the toilet? Like, people ask that because they have no respect. I'm like, would you ask a policeman that, or would you ask a, you know, your teacher that at school? Like, would you ask them that at Walmart if you came up to them? Like, no, you wouldn't. It's okay to be curious, but don't ask. There's a time and a place, you know. And you don't know me. I don't know you. Like, I've had people come up to me and go, you want to feel my face? And I'm like, no, I don't do that. And they're like, why? And I'm like, one, I don't know you. That's weird. And two, I don't do that. Like, the movies are all like, blind people do that. And I'm like, nope, I do not. It's awkward. I don't like touching people. You know, it's you wouldn't, if somebody came up to you and started feeling your face and was not blind, you would be like, what are you doing, weirdo? Get away from me, you know? So just be respectful. I mean, if you get to know me and you want to talk to me and you want to know why I do this, or, you know, how I go to the toilet, because people think that's interesting. I don't know why, but whatever. Once I get to know you more, you can ask whatever you want. But don't ask me at Walmart or at the restaurant or when I'm walking down the street. It's not the time to tell you about that. It's not appropriate, and it's not respectful. I don't get offended easily by that kind of thing, but sometimes I'm not in the mood to deal with people, and I just kind of snap at them. Like, they'll be like, can I help you across the street? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. Are you sure? Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Are you sure? Leave me alone, I'm fine. Like, I've already told you 3 times, like, go away. Like, if I needed your help, I would accept, but you asked me and I said no. The end. So, yeah, I get really annoyed at people sometimes for that. I don't care if you ask me if I need help, but if I say no, okay, if I say no and I walk away and I look like I'm confused, then offer again, that's perfectly fine. But if I'm just standing at the corner and I'm just waiting to cross and I'm waiting on you to walk away because you're blocking the sound, because, you know, if you're standing on beside me, you could be blocking the sound of the parallel street. You know, so I'm waiting for you to cross or for a car to cross, because sometimes loud cars, you can't hear other cars behind them because they're so loud, like buses, trucks, all that. If I tell you no, and you don't leave me alone, and you ask me again and again and again, I'm going to yell at you because I've already told you multiple times I don't want your help, I don't need your help, I'm okay, thank you, I appreciate it. And you keep persisting because you want to be that person that says, oh look, I helped this blind person today. Awesome, go you. I really appreciate the people who are genuinely helping me because they want to. But I don't need it. And so please go away. Like, it's not appropriate. Like, if I were to ask you that and you were not blind, eventually you would get worried. Like, if I were some 700-pound person, I said, hey, do you need help with, can I open the door for to your house? And you'd say, no, I'm good. I'd say, are you sure? Are you sure you don't want me to come in with you and help you at your house? No, I'm good. Are you all right? Like, are you sure? Because I can help you. Like, it's rude, right? You would get that. You would understand why that's a problem, why that's scary, especially if you're in my situation as a blind female. I'm not super strong, not super tall. I mean, I'm like not short, but I'm not tall. I'm not physically, superhuman. I can't defend myself against someone who is stronger than me. And I've had some terrifying experiences with that kind of situation, and it didn't end well, and it's terrifying, and it has left some trauma responses. And so when people ask if I need help, my normal reaction is, nope, go away from me. Why are you watching me? Why are you that close to me? Go away. It's not your fault, not really my fault, it just kind of happened, but be respectful. If I say no, thank you, goodbye, walk away. The end. So anyway, thank y'all for watching this video. I apologize it's super long. I just wanted to get that out there because I was going to make a Facebook post, but it's super long and it would be a lot of words. I don't want to type it all. So here's my video. Again, if you have any questions, comments, whatever you want, feel free to comment, or on my Facebook or YouTube, whatever you want. Just be respectful, please. Thank you.